this chapter. And looking ahead at the week, today is the last lesson. Oh, no, it isn't. I'm sorry. There's 2 lessons. We have a ways to go. I'm sorry. It's 7th grade that's testing at the end of the week, not you guys. You're testing next week on this chapter. So we have chapter 5, lesson 9 and 10 we're going to do this week. And we've got 2 days of review. And then I don't test on Mondays, so Monday next week you're not going to have a test. But Tuesday you will. It'll be on all of chapter 5 on Tuesday.
What day does school end?
What day does school end?
Yeah, like what day of the week is it?
Next week?
I don't know.
Oh, what day? This week is the 4th.
It's the 20th, but what day of the week is it?
Today's the 30th.
No, but when we end school, what day of the week?
Oh, you're thinking way ahead.
It's 2 weeks.
Friday is the 18th.
It's a what?
December 18th is a Friday.
Okay.
And we do not have this class on that Friday. We have this, because the schedule is being switched around for finals for high school, and you guys are a part of that schedule as well. So this class will meet on Wednesday of the last week before winter break. And we will have a test that I will explain more about later this week. But basically, it's going to be a comprehensive test. It's going to be everything from the beginning, a smattering of everything that we've done. But that's okay. It won't be that bad. I think it'll probably be pretty good. We'll talk more about that later on. But that's a short week for this class, for each of your classes actually, because some of the days of the last week, 2 periods get squished together. That happens on Friday for sure. So let's talk constructions. 2,500 years ago, they didn't have a ruler like this, but you have a ruler like this, right? Or a small one. I can't remember what I gave you guys. Big ones, small ones?
What page?
Yeah, I did. First day of school. You got a ruler, you got a protractor, you got a textbook, and you got a TR-84.
384?
384? This page right here.
335.
335. So, 2,500 years ago, the Greeks were measuring things, but they didn't use rulers. And there's a whole group of mathematicians that were putting together work without using any kind of rulers, and they were trying to prove things when it came to measuring. And they used some of these ideas they believed in measuring for doing a lot of work in Greece and in kind of the Mediterranean area at the time. And we think that maybe some of these ideas were used for pyramids around the world as well, for making them as unique as they are. But either way, what we're going to do is we're going to call this a straight edge in terms of what they refer to in geometry as constructions. So we're not going to be concerned with the markings on here with the lengths, centimeters, and we're just using it as a straight edge to draw straight lines. And then you have a drawing compass. And between those 2 things, which do not have any measurement on them, we can do a lot of very consistent constructions. Constructions are done without measurement. They're done with drawing compass and a straight edge. So what they give us, they're giving us some links in the book. You're going to need to have your book open to be able to do this work. So they're giving us these different segments, A, B, C, and D. And each of these are a different number of units in length.
35.
And the first thing you need to do in your notes notebook, put together a title, 5-9 Constructions. Then in your notebook, you need what's called a working line. So we just need a line that extends all the way across your paper that we're going to do different measurements along. So when you make a line, when you make anything now, we gotta do it with a straight edge. We're not just gonna eyeball it and say that's close. So I'll try to make mine as straight as I can up here. Doesn't always work, but that's fairly straight. That's gonna be my working line. So we're following the activity on page 335. And on one end of this line, you need to have a point P. And you don't want to make your points any bigger than they need to be, but they need to be large enough that you look at them and you say, I can tell where the center of that point is. So don't put a big, huge bullseye dot on there. But make it big enough that you can see where the point is. What?
There like a certain, what's P again? Did you say?
Say that again, please.
Did you say what P needed to be, like how long?
No, this isn't, it's just a point along a line. This line should stretch across your paper. And you should probably fold or lay your notebook out nice and flat, so you're not working on a wave. I see a lot of you with your stuff folded under, piled on top of things. Keep it nice and flat. And then what we need to do is we need to copy D onto the working line. So it's pretty straightforward. Take your drawing compass. When you set these things up, try to have the point of the compass, the sharp point, and the tip of the lead of your pencil at the same distance, same length down. So then what we need to do is you need to take your drawing compass. You know what? I'm going to work with a little one over here. I think that's better. Let's see if I have one. I do. So if we're going to take this, is this the first one we're supposed to do? We're supposed to copy segment D onto the working line. So take the tip, put it at one end of D, put your lead at the other end. Then you just bring your drawing compass over, go to point P, and you're going to make a mark here. So then what you have is you have the length D. And then what I would do is I would go on to your working line. I'm going to do this up on the so what I did is I took my drawing compass, put it on P after I had D measured out, and then I just make a little arc. And then this segment from here to here is going to be length D. So you can label that as such. You wouldn't put a point out here and call it point D, it's just that that's the length. So what I've done is I've taken from the book, and then I've transposed this from the book onto the working line. So step 3. We've made a mark, then we call this D, and then they want us to label this as point Q. So now segment PQ is 4 units long. Make sense?
Yeah.
Do you think that you could make a segment which is 5 units long? What would you have to do?
You'd have to do 2 measurements and that.
You would measure out A, and then you add it on to
Okay. Yeah, so you can just add them together, can't you? Do you think that you'd be able to make something that was seven units long?
Yeah.
How many different ways?
2.
Yeah, you do a 4 and a 3, a 4 and a 2 and a 1, or a 4 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1, or a 2 and a 2 and a 2 and a 1. So let's go down to example 1 and take a look at what that says. What they say is to construct a segment with length of 5 units. So draw a second line underneath that working line, put point P on it, and then use addition to come up with a segment that would be 5 units long. They want us to call that. One is Q and then the other is R. So what you're doing is you're redoing PQ, which is a length of 4. And then you're adding on another segment of 1. And at the end of that second segment that you're marking off, and you're supposed to label that as R. Does this seem pretty simple? Is it straightforward enough? Can you add small numbers? Can you subtract it? Yeah. What do you have to do then? Yeah, on the other side of it is all kinds of paper. There's graph paper, line paper, blank paper, whichever works best for you. Okay, so next example. Are we ready to go ahead? Where's the no? Are you ready to go ahead? Yeah, you're set? Okay. So if you use the longest segment, would you be able to start with that and come up with shorter segments? So if you started long and then you needed to have a shorter segment than what you begin with, we're not going to be adding, are we? What do you have to do then? Yeah, subtracting. So the next example, they want you to begin with, let's see here, it says, to construct a segment of length J, starting at point E. So if you were to start with a working segment like this, or a working line, then go into your book. Example 2, they give you J. Place that, transpose that onto your, oh, you're not seeing what I'm doing, I'm sorry. There we go. This is what I'm doing up here.
Another line?
Yeah, so start with another working line. And then don't even label the point like point P, just put a little tick mark here. And then take J from example number 2 in your book, and mark where the end of J would be. So this is going to be segment J. between these two marks.
How do we
So we
know?
measure it for on, what?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've taken it off of the book here.
Oh,
So I've
You
taken
measure.
I've taken J off of the book here with my drawing compass. Put it onto that working line. And then when I made my little arc, then I just turned that into a darker tick mark so it was a little bit easier to see.
Is that 3 or 2 units?
This is J, whatever J is, comes out of example 2, so you got a page forward. Yeah, it's on the bottom of page 336.
Yeah.
And then what you're gonna do is you're supposed to measure out a segment which is J minus K. So then if you come back with K and take that off of one end, so these are not in units, these are just simply whatever they show them to be in length. You go to the end of that segment, you go to either end. And this is K, and then you can show J minus K.
okay.
So last year, did we do triangles with drawing compasses?
Yeah.
We did. I thought we did. I kind of looked it up. I think we did it in December. Yeah, drawing triangles with a straight edge and a drawing compass.
So it just said, oh, this is just J, the whole thing.
Right.
Well, how is what is over J, why is it J? Okay.
Well, there is. This is J, this is K, this is J minus K. Yeah. So if you're looking in the book, this segment right here is K, and J would have been the entire length. So if this is J on the farthest stretch of the tick marks, take away K, then this much right in here becomes J minus K. So this is a mistake. I moved the J letter up here.
So what's just that?
So all of this is J, take away K, then this smaller segment is J, subtract K. Yeah? Yeah, there's no tricks. Okay. So what do you guys remember about doing triangles with a drawing compass?
It took a long time.
Took a long time? Yeah?
So you make a line and you take your compass and you go longer than a half for both sides, and you make an arc, and you make another arc from the other side, and you take the dot and make a straight edge, and it's a triangle.
Okay, so you start with a straight edge, a straight line, and then from each end point of which is going to be the vertices, the corners of your triangle, you make arcs of particular radius size. Here, what do they want us to do? They want us to use 2, 3, and 4 units. But you know what? When I page back to page 335, I don't know, those are pretty small. Can you use them, you think? I don't know, you're 8th grade now. Here's what I would suggest. When you take your drawing compass, a lot of people work with 2 hands on these things, and then you end up changing the radius, the distance between the point and the lead. what I would suggest you try to do is to hold them, once you adjust them, at least, hold them like this and roll them. And if you're going to make a circle or an arc, if you stick this thing into the paper and make sure that you've got some thickness to work with, when you draw your circle, if you kind of twist your fingers, you spin this back, and then lean in the direction that you're trying to draw your circle, the direction that you're going. Don't have the compass standing straight up. It kind of skips along. But if you do that, if you lean forward and be satisfied with a really light line, you probably are going to be putting together pretty decent circles. If this thing slips when you're doing that, if it's slipping and changing radius, tell me it's probably too loose to work with. But let's do this. Let's begin with making a working line on your paper. And we're going to use that working line as part of it's going to be used as one side of your triangle. So once you create a working line, you need to come up with a point that you are going to call the beginning of one side of your triangle. So the idea is that there's going to be a triangle either up above or below, however you wish to do it. And then go to your book, and if we're going to make a 2, 3, I'm sorry, it's a 2, 3, 5?
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. So we're going to make a 2, 3, 4 triangle. Begin with the longest length, I suggest, and put the 4 on your working line. So come up with the length of 4 on here, put down a tick mark. So we're going back to that activity number 1 to get the length of 4 units. You just put a little arc mark on here. And then you can label the length of this as 4. You're done? Awesome. So you're moving right ahead with this one. You got new working line. And then mark off 4 units. And then, so then we need a 2 and a 3 on here. So if you go back to that activity number 1 on the first page and set your drawing compass so you have 2 units, go to one end. You don't need to make a circle all the way around. Just put an arc up above, and then go back and measure 3 onto your drawing compass. Go to the other end and find where those arcs are going to intersect. And once you find that intersection, go back up?
Yeah.
Okay. So those of you that still want me to lead you through this, some of you finished it already because you remember what we did last year, and that's fine. But for those of you that are still working along, do you have a side length of 4 measured on your working line? Good? Okay, so now what we need to do is create a side that's going to be 2 from one of the end points, and then a side which is going to be 3 from the other end point. So what I've done is gone back to page 335, use my drawing compass to set up a size of 2, and then I've gone to one end of the fore-length. I'm just making an arc up here. So everywhere along this arc, all along this arc, is a distance of 2 from this end point. All along here, anywhere along here is going to be a distance of 2 because of the size of your drawing compass. Once you have that arc done, then go and change your drawing compass to a length of 3. And go to the other end of your segment. Mine didn't come out just so something flipped. That's okay. And then you're going to have another arc here, and all along this arc is going to be a distance of 3 from this endpoint. And then where those 2 arcs intersect, that's the top vertex of your triangle. So just connect that point to one end. And then the same intersection to the other. And label. 2, 3, 4. Yes, sir. That looks good. Just label the side lengths. So if you can repeat the things that we've done in the last 20 minutes, you'll be fine with your homework. No, you'll be fine to do your homework without calling all your friends and getting help. Yeah, how did they, I don't know, I wasn't there, I'm not that old. Some of the seniors think I am, but I'm not. What about it? What's your question? Yeah, what did they use for drawing compasses? I don't know. But if you took a peg and you rammed it into the ground and you had a big long rope, you could have a huge drawing compass. Like you could go do this out on a soccer field. Why?
Yeah, because the soccer field is
In the name
not,
of
it's not a
science.
circle, it's like a.
If you could draw the one.
Remember the Sierpinski's triangles that we did last year? You don't remember? We worked with equilateral triangles and then we cut the sides in half and then half over and over again. Yeah, you can do, if you do that outside in the soccer field, you could make a huge pattern that when you flew over it, you could see a Sierpinski triangle. And I've seen pictures of people that have done that kind of thing in fields before. And they cut the grass in the pattern of the Sierpinski triangle. Why would you use something that big? I don't know. How did they get the pyramids as square as they were? It was certainly math. There's no doubt about it. I'm not certain. Hey, here's your homework. Try these. Page 338. 1 to 5, 8, 9, and 11 through 13. One to 5, 8, 9, 11 to 13.
Wait, 1 through 5 or 1 through 12?
You will need your drawing compass. And you'll need to bring your drawing compass back tomorrow in order to get credit for your homework.
This?
Will you need your straight edge? Yes.
Will we need our graphic calculator?
Will you need your calculators? I don't think so. I don't believe so. Because 13 is not a review problem, and you don't need calculators for any of this work. 338, 1 to 5, 8, 9, 11 to 13.